We welcome you inside Boca Ice Arena for the second of this series between the visiting Kennesaw State Owls out of Georgia and the Florida Atlantic M3 Owls. My name is Devin Serra, running solo tonight. Our producer Mitch Liswith, and we've got the closer, the Owls, going for the sweep after they completed a 3-goal comeback yesterday down to this Kennesaw State in the first period. They had 5 goals in the second period, this FAU group did, led, by the way, with Sam Watson, who picked up the final 2 goals, the game winner, the lone of the third, en route to their 3rd win of the season. And it was a bounce-back performance considering they had dropped 2 of their last 3 coming into this weekend. The Kennesaw State Owls fell to 1-5 on the year, a tough start for them after they had a combined or conceded 5 goals, as we mentioned, on 11 Florida Atlantic shots. The final 2 goals they allowed on Florida Atlantic power plays, although they were solid on their kill, 3 for 5. The key for them, their assistant coach Jeff Sousa told me, was they have got to get bigger tonight if they want to split this series against an FAU team that can score at will, considering they looked more like themselves in that second frame. We have just a couple of seconds remaining until the starting lineups, but we'll let you know about some other games going on around the country. South Florida, USF taking on UCF. The Bulls of USF had a massive 11-2 win yesterday over UCF, and why that's important is because this Owl team, the M3 FAU team, lost big to USF the other day, 9-1, or last week rather. So some jockeying in the standings. We'll see if UCF can come back in the war in I-4 and get the split there. Also, Tampa M3 taking on the Owls, FAU's Owls rival in Lynn University. That's happening at Clearwater Ice Arena right now. Just wrapping up at the end of that. Be sure to check out Tampa socials for that result. And then Alabama takes on Clemson M3, and the Crimson Tide looking for a bounce back after they got swept by Middle Tennessee State in the College Hockey South Game of the Week last weekend. As we have a ceremonial puck drop being delivered by our wonderful Christina Serafian to our left. You see on your screen the Owls gathering, where they will go with the starting netminder tonight, Matt McMillan, and we'll get to him and a little bit more of his story in just a few moments. So we'll step aside for a moment and let you hear the starting announcements and the playing of the national anthem. Starting netminders for both sides. First, the visiting Kennesaw State Owls. They return to their freshman Nikolai Dunn out of Ackworth, Georgia. He stopped 33 on 39 FAU shots yesterday. His assistant coach, Jeff Sosa, said we trust him with stopping most of those shots, and he didn't get a whole lot of help from his defense yesterday. The FAU Owls turn once again to Matthew McMillan, who came in relief for Seth Fischer, who allowed 3 goals on the power play midway through the second. He only allowed 1 goal the rest of the game on a breakaway shot. He was superb from there, and he gets the start for the White House Station, New Jersey native. The starting lines for both sides. This is a 4-forward group for this Kennesaw State Owl team. Number 58 returns Nicholas Pecora, the junior out of Sewanee, Georgia. His first weekend back, where he played for the M3 team last year, putting up 27 points. He's joined by his captain, James Kravis, and on the backside, Reese Legault, a big addition for Kennesaw State, along with his D partner and Christian Sousa. Here we go, and we are underway for Game 2 of this weekend series. Kravis first shot on McMillan, gobbled up and covered, and we'll get to the rest of the starters here. First on the Kennesaw State side, we mentioned Kravis and Pecora. They'll also go with Will Costin, who had 2 goals and an assist in that 6-5 loss yesterday, and also playing there Jonathan Scott at defense, not Christian Sousa. Kravis is kicked out of the face-off circle. He'll be replaced by Pecora, number 58 in there. And Pecora loses the draws. The Owls start their first breakout and zone entry of this hockey game. Iannicelli gets after it. And it's Joseph Lozeritis wearing number 5, one of the 2 alternate captains on this FAU squad. Kennesaw State back the other way. Pecora scores! McMillan paid the price right after that as Kravis crashed into him. And the junior in his return gets on the board, 1-0. McMillan stood up on the left post. It was a simple rush on the left side. He had a sharp angle chance with no rebound, and McMillan let it under his left pad, and it just squeaked through his 5-hole area, and then Kravis came in and barreled over into him. Good to see McMillan come out no worse for wear. He also had a moment yesterday where he was collided into and was given a second to collect himself and get his breath back, but that is a goal for, we just talked about, one of the top scorers on that M3 Owl team last year, one of 6 Owls with double-digit goal totals on the year in 24-25. And that's a great start for Kennesaw State, just like they had yesterday when they led 1-0 in the first 4 minutes of the game. They come back into the attacking zone once more, send in with the second unit going in. Ashton Nolte, he was all over the ice. It's stolen away by an Owl, an FAU Owl, in front of the slot area. We'll have to remember these are both Owl teams playing in the Battle of the Hoot. Good collision behind the goal, getting in there Justin Lopes, who had 2 assists in their comeback victory 6-5 yesterday. Played up the far glass, chased in after by Alex Lesko for FAU, stolen away. Scott is open for a shot. That one got the paddle of McMillan over the top of goal. Now Scott back in there. Chris Scott, the 5th-year senior, puts it up to the point where it's cycled deeper. Little miscommunication as he went deeper behind the goal. Trying to fish it out was Lesko. He has help and for a moment up for grabs, and then unable to hold the blue line was Michael Terry, the sophomore. It comes all the way to McMillan, who plays it behind his own goal. And this Owl team wants a reset. Stolen away from Carter Baker. He'll smush a man to the boards. John Ronson for Kennesaw State in there to fish it, and it's free to the neutral zone where Scott will deliver it back. In the slot, separate collision from 2 FAU players allows them, for thought would move up ice. It was given back to Aiden Nolte, one of the brothers, along with his number 19, Ashton. And now skating with it, Ronson gets decked to the ice. He's going to get up quickly, and at the blue line, still unable to clear the zone is FAU. That's Comtois Tuman, and he successfully gets it past the defenseman at the line. Bashkin wraps the far boards after he took a bump. Aiden Nolte through the legs of his own man, collected with Christian Sousa, the defenseman, and son of alternate coach Jeff Sousa. This is carried by A.J. Berry and immediately stolen. Good job pressuring is Kennesaw State in the early going of this one. The only goal from Nicholas Pecora, unassisted at the 32-second mark. Kept onside by Bryce Malcolm. He'll go in to chase after it. It's sent deeper by John Bayona, returning to the lineup tonight, and we get a whistle as this puck went out of play. Kennesaw State, head coached by Kyle Stevenson in his third season. We talked about Jeff Sousa, the alternate. Their equipment manager is Robbie Wilcox. A 1-5 start for them. I asked Jeff Sousa about that, and he said it was a little demoralizing for this team, and they had a conversation about it yesterday. Delayed penalty coming up here on FAU as we get the first stoppage, and it's a tripping call for the FAU Owls, who took another night where they had as many as 7 penalties, the 4th game this year of that instance. So they will put a man in the box, and just like yesterday, Kennesaw State gets an early power play and an opportunity to pounce on it. Draw will be to the right of McMillan, and sitting for 2 minutes is Nicholas Snyder. Immediately off the hop, Christian Sousa puts this into the netting, and some extracurricular after, not allowing the Owl forward, I believe that's Alex Bartoshevich, to collect his stick. Now he'll skate away. Some chippiness to begin this one. We didn't see a whole lot of it yesterday, although this is a frustrated Kennesaw State group trying to get on the board, up 2-0 early, and McMillan, a good stop off the 2-goal scorer for Kennesaw State, Will Costin, and some more pushing and shoving ensues in front. Owls head coached by Andrew Yagoda in his 2nd season. Andrew, out of the New Jersey area, talked about his team being more disciplined. It's been a tough go of them as of late. They have taken a lot of penalties, but he liked his team's effort in the 2nd and 3rd, evident by their 5 goals when they were able to tie up the game. And then their captain, Sam Watson, had the game winner with about 12 minutes to go in the 3rd. The long delay here as the officials are over at the penalty box. Not sure what the conversation's about. Score clock they're looking up at, wondering if the time was incorrect, as Schneider sits in the box for 2 minutes. Gives us a chance to remind you about the upcoming schedule for these Owls, and now they'll get the clock set. This FAU Owl team gets ready for, after this series, Embry-Riddle next week on Friday. There will be an away game in Daytona, and then they will take on the Ice Eagles on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Owl TV. Still a long stoppage of play here as the buzzer sounded, and they were talking about what the collective time was that dwindled down from the stoppage of play. It says 16:36. We will get back to action now with a face-off. Kravis in there for Kennesaw State. Good job coming in to fight that puck free, and then immediately sent out again. That was, I believe, Antonovsky who kicked it out. Justin Lopes scurries back, and for FAU, they had the tough start. They were down 3-0 early in the 2nd, and they allowed 2 power play goals around this time in the first 3.5 minutes. And those were some big power play goals by Reese Legault, who this Kennesaw State is big on this year to replace some of their offensive production they lost from graduation, and as well as Owen Foster, a senior who scored yesterday. Here's Reese, number 47, thought about a shot, fanned on his own attempt. Kravis gives it back to Sousa. Some quick feeds to the far wing. Legault knocked off the puck, wanted to get it behind the goal for Nolte, and it passed over his stick. Ashton Nolte gets it back now, wants to put one back in front. Good job defensively to get in the passing lane was Lozeritis. Kennesaw State holds the line in, however. Legault missed his opportunity for Sousa, who has it in the right wing, takes a shot well over the top of the crossbar and bounces the stanchion glass all the way to Kennesaw State's own zone, where they'll hook. First minute gone in power play number 1 on the night. And a quick dump out. Owls of FAU don't allow Kennesaw State to set up. Sam Watson, number 15, out there. Talked about 2 goals, the final 2 yesterday on this penalty kill group that has been busy and good. They didn't allow the final 4 power plays anything to come of it. Shot towards McMillan, gobbled up with no rebound from the softie. And for this penalty kill group that's seen Alex Bartoshevich, Justin Lopes, Bryce Malcolm, they have been as good as you can ask, considering that they have played not as disciplined hockey. And one thing that Andrew Yagoda preached to us is that he wants his team to, that puck flutters in on a blocker stop by McMillan as he gloves it down. He wanted them to play more sound without cheating or without causing mistakes where they're reaching on plays or they just don't have the right body positioning. A lot of these penalties they've gotten are for hooking, tripping, a hit from behind here and there, a cross check. They've had it all over the board, but the biggest thing is not allowing, as there's a blocker stop by McMillan up in the air, those lack of effort plays to ensue. And he needs a full 60 minutes out of these guys tonight, as that is flipped out of play by Bryce Malcolm. So with 4 seconds left, we'll get another draw. And it's pretty evident, FAU Owl fans are talking to, that this team has struggled with a young group. They aren't as mature as maybe some counterparts on the M2 team. That's part of the growing pains when you've only played what is now 7 games on the year. Still with the working process. There's one from the point that was well wide, and that will do it for the penalty. Onto the bench goes Snyder. Out of the box, off the bench, Ian Acelli. And the freshman had the tying goal in game 1 yesterday. This is Bryce Malcolm, number 19. Forward it for Carter Baker. Baker was named player of the game on FAU Owl socials. 2-on-1 develops. They got a chance for Watson. He couldn't handle the feed in front. Came from Drew Renzi. Allows Kennesaw State for a moment. Thought they'd move it up ice. Now Ian Acelli steals it back. Great feed in front. And a better stop by Dunn on the Renzi wrister. Getting after that puck in a hurry was Porcello, and he'll get it out of harm's way. First quality opportunity for FAU of this hockey game. Getting knocked off the puck. Malcolm bodies out the streaking Pecora, who has the opener in this one in his return to Boca Ice Center. To the right wing, dancing inside to the zone. And Costin rather into the crease, and he never got a shot off. And Costin is somebody that, as a freshman, they're big on with this Kennesaw State staff because he has experience in his younger youth with AA programs. He's a very fast and well-shot forward that does a lot for them in different situations, both on the offensive side of the puck and surprisingly defensively. He did a solid job yesterday on a lot of the Owls' early chances, FAU's chances, that was in the first period. 13:40 left in this first. 1-0 Kennesaw State as Bucci Gross, the alternate captain, takes a bump. They'll reach in after it behind the goal. Trying to dig it out is Costin, number 96. And we've got a whistle, and there's going to be a high sticking call penalty as they are looking to send a Kennesaw State player, the captain, James Kravis. It will be high sticking on the veteran senior out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. FAU was 2 for 5 on the power play yesterday, and those 2 were the final 2 goals of the game. They didn't have too many looks, considering they took all 5 penalties of the first period yesterday, but this is an important one, considering that they have, if there is a thing of momentum, carrying over from yesterday. Face-off won by Lozeritis, got it back. Renzi deep into the zone, lost handle, and it's chased and collected by Jeffrey Thomas. The freshman will sky it out to the opposing zone. McMillan off the bank from the boards. Carter Baker and Costin fight for it. Watson absorbs a check from the boards, and Baker will have to retreat with Renzi. They'll start their breakout now over right wing. He'll cross ice, feed it left wing for the captain, Watson. Over the blue line, stays on side, drop pass, return feed. Behind the goal, calling for it, Lozeritis. He'll go back up to the point. Seeing eye for Baker. Watson got it back. Now Baker again takes a look. Wrister towards the net, and that one tipped wide off the stick of Christian Sousa, the Kennesaw State defenseman. Left wing chance, Watson, one-timer blast, Baker another block in front, and that time it allows the puck to flutter off the stick of the neutral zone. That was Ashton Nolte laying a piece of the body. They did a great job yesterday, Kennesaw State did, of blocking shots early in the game. Kept them at a 3-goal advantage until the Owls came all the way back in the second. 59 to go in the first power play for FAU off the James Kravis high sticking penalty. Draw to the left of Nikolai Dunn. Hasn't been too tested to start this game, although they had a beautiful attempt with Watson and Renzi moments ago. Another draw win for FAU. Shot to the net, tipped off of Iannicelli's stick high. It's a battle for it ensues. John Ronson's not able to get it free. Porcello banked it off his stick, gave it back to the FAU sweater and Comtois Tumen. Right wing, Iannicelli sets up, thought about a shot, gave it back to Renzi, quarterbacking this power play. Behind the goal, Iannicelli, one-timer, missed the goal wide of the left post, and it squirts all the way back out to the neutral zone with 30 to go in the man advantage. Some quick attempts. FAU looking for the right shot opportunity. They only get one on goal for Dunn on that power play. They've got 15 seconds to reset it. And one thing they did a lot better on their power plays yesterday was using some misdirection. Beautiful pass, set up the game winner. Renzi did to Watson from behind the goal to his office in the left wing circle. 2 seconds to go until Kravis is out of the box. 0 for 1 goes FAU on the man advantage. They keep the pressure on, however. Comtois Tumen, backhanded it to nobody in particular. Porcello right into the face of his streaking forward in Scott. And that allows FAU back the other way. Carter Baker gives it in the middle. Bartoshevich can't handle it in the slide. He got barreled over by his own man there in Michael Terry. And they re-enter the zone. Some good sustained pressure coming here as Kennesaw State has to routinely figure out their back check. Now it's stolen away. Justin Lopes trying to dangle around Porcello. Kravis sidesteps a hit. FAU gets their fresh lines out there. He's pressed to the boards by 2 Kennesaw State players in there. Delayed penalty coming up. And what do we got here? There's a holding call. And they're motioning it on FAU. Inopportune time to have that happen. It's going to be on Justin Lopes, as there was a corner scrum for the puck against Kravis and company. So with 10:38 to go, both teams 0 for 1 on their man advantage tonight. We'll get another look at this Kennesaw State power play. That was perfect on their first 2, and then 3 of 4 to end the first period. Face-off win for Kennesaw State. Back to the point where Costin wants to swing it to Sousa. Got it back. Want to go cross ice and a nifty goal. Ashton Nolte between the legs. That puck was parked right out in front. Nolte looking backwards, put it between his legs on the left side of McMillan's pads. And like yesterday, they jump out to a 2-0 lead. That was a fortunate balance considering they tried to go from left to right and set up a winger on the weak side. And then that puck was right into the wickets of Nolte, who gets a highlight reel goal here. And Kennesaw State cashes in for their 4th power play goal of this weekend, as that one was longly punched out. And for Ashton Nolte, somebody that is part of this leadership group, he's a junior out of Marietta, Georgia. He almost had a Gordie Howe hat trick yesterday with a goal and an assist, and then a post-whistle skirmish that could have easily led to more in the 3rd period. As this draw is won by Kennesaw State. Trying to get it in the middle, backhand shot towards McMillan, pad stop on the streaking forward Liam Grogan. And another whistle comes and another delayed penalty. It's a tripping call. So the penalty is starting to add up here early on in this one. And it is FAU going to the box once again. That's Jake Buccigross called for it. Not a good sign, but it's an unfortunate trend that this FAU team has had the last couple of weeks. Kennesaw State off the draw. Got it to their defenseman, Ty Johnston. Swing it left side for Scott in the middle. Up for grabs in the slot. McMillan sprawls, and he thinks he has the piece. He'll scoop it from under his glove. Gives us a moment to give you our referees and linesmen tonight. Max Minervini, along with Dave Campbell, are the officials wearing those orange bands. The linesmen are Tom Warmington and Bryce Southcott. Right wing Chance, wide of the right post. Kennesaw State holds the blue line in from Scott. Wanted to feed it the opposite wing for Pecora, and it was negated by an FAU owl all the way down the ice. Long stretch attempt, reaches McMillan so it wouldn't force the icing, and covering it up after the pursuing Foster will force a face-off in FAU's zone with 9:34 to go in the first. We mentioned earlier those 2 goals that were scored in the first 4 minutes of the game, both on power plays from Owen Foster and Reese Legault. Those were set up by Will Costin and Christian Sousa from the point in, and 2 shots that beat Fischer on ones that, in all honesty, maybe he would have wanted back. There's a shot that whistles wide from the middle of the slot. Christian Sousa from the point, right side, across, nifty passes, score! Will Costin, 3rd goal of this weekend. And the tic-tac-toe play by this power play is buzzing. An early advantage where Kennesaw State gets back to a 3-0 lead. Back-to-back power play goals for them. Kyle Stevenson has got to be loving that. And the fans over in Georgia. I was trying to answer. Bayona set up, and he was blocked in front off the skate of Hudson Bashkin in the shooting lane. Lozeritis one more time as Costin made a nice defensive play away from Sam Watson. He'll backhand it. Some miscommunication. Lozeritis gets barreled over by Sousa. Costin, a hit from behind. Knocked down by Moriarty, and they're going to get Moriarty for a cross-checking penalty on that. And once again, the Owls cannot help themselves. Moriarty's going to sit, and it's all Kennesaw State here early in this one. FAU was setting up sustained zone time, attacking zone time, the first part of this period, and now it's all starting to unravel. 4th power play coming up here, and getting to retreat out of the circle is Sam Watson. Now, how does Andrew Yagoda respond to this team? He talked to us about his squad needing to have a good start and play to their standard. It has not been that at all now in the last 5 minutes. Kennesaw State is jumping on their opportunity. The clear around the near boards, held into the zone by Scott, who's done that a couple of times to start this game. Ronson has it behind the goal. He looks for options. Back to the point where he'll bank it off the boards for Scott. Fake the shot. Gave it left side for John Ronson again. He'll cross to the opposing D-man now. Ty Johnston gets it deeper right wing. No tag the far end of the ice. Setting up a look. Right wing. That's Pecora in front. That one skirted through the blue paint with none of the yellow sweaters able to pick it up. Kennesaw State holds the line. Scott's shot is blocked off the skate of Lozeritis. Kept deeper over the back of Sam Watson. This is Ronson behind the goal. Got through one defender. One more time for Scott. Looks towards the net. Puts one intentionally wide. The opposing winger. And a good job getting in front of that shooting lane was an FAU player. That was an intentional miss by Scott trying to set up the winger on the opposite part. I thought that was Pecora, and they'll all skate away now. 1 minute gone in that 4th power play of this game. Kennesaw State with 3 different goal scorers. Pecora in his return to Boca Ice, previously with M3 FAU last year, Ashton Nolte, and the most recent on the power play, Will Costin. Saved by McMillan. Renzi gets it out. Good job by him to force Kennesaw State retreating. Christian Sousa gives it left wing. Onside is Costin. He's pursued, gets around A.J. Berry. Now Christian Sousa wants to set him up again. He'll go across in the middle. The saucer negated by Renzi for a moment. Owls can't clear the zone again. Sousa with the sustained pressure. Quick passes, thinking about a shot, skated overskated that rather. Looked like James Kravis. Turnaround shot on McMillan, and it's gobbled up with help in the front by A.J. Berry to seal any rebound. 14 seconds left until they let Moriarty out of the box for his cross-checking penalty. And what's also an unusual sign is the disparity in penalties. You get a tripping call, a holding call, and a cross-check. It's not like it's just one thing for this M3 group. It's been a snowball of a couple of instances. Christian Sousa, patient with it, gives it right wing. In front, cross ice wanted to feed Costin, and the pass was just behind him. That will end the power play as Kravis gets barreled into by Berry. Lozaritis turned it over, and a shot sails high off the wrister from Royce Legault. Make that 2 for 4. And now with 6:48 to go, an important mark for FAU. They were not able to respond at the end of the first yesterday. In fact, they took another penalty with a couple of seconds left from Connor Strum, who's not in the lineup tonight, number 14 for FAU. And with that ensuing face-off, Kennesaw State has controlled most of the zone time so far in this game. That one hopped over the stick of Porcello. Trying to cut off the angle was Lozaritis. He successfully got it to Watson out of the neutral zone. Dump and chase trying to enter. They have to retreat as they were called for an offside by the linesman, and so they couldn't touch the puck. Button hooking out of his own end is Ty Johnston, the defenseman out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Long ways from home, from the neutral zone, given back to FAU, who wants to set up an entry. Iannicelli gets knocked around. Lozaritis, number 5, is in there. He presses to the boards. Liam Grogan. Grogan stuck with the play. Got it, a nice exit, this time for Ezra Nix. And FAU, in transition, will rifle it down the ice. Opposite wing, Sam Watson pushes through Johnston. Iannicelli gets after it around Porcello. Aiden Nolte is in there, fighting for it with the help from the Liam Grogan freshman forward. They'll get it this opposite wing. Johnston around a man, and we've got a whistle. Is there another penalty coming up here on FAU? It is Chris Iannicelli, the 5th FAU penalty of this period, and it's for roughing. Make that 2 straight games, taking 5 penalties in the first period. And rather, now they called that roughing call on Iannicelli, and then they now just put a Kennesaw State player in the box. So FAU, call it a break. Maybe I'm miscommunicating it. It's a 4-on-4 coincidental. There's a quick shot by Renzi that's into the pads of Nikolai Dunn. And they have not put up the player number on the board for either side, but we know it's Iannicelli, as you saw on your screen. And possibly our FAU production team here at Owl TV picked it up, and I didn't. Regardless, they now get it going, and it is 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes. 5:24 to go in this first period. Devin Serra riding solo with you for the finale of this 2-game series. FAU won yesterday 6-5. And they had not led the entire game until halfway through the third. So John Bayona goes in after it against John Ronson. They collide in a big way. Renzi has a man calling for it at the point. He'll hold it for now. Cross ice, negated by Sousa in the middle. It allows a rush for the other way. Scott, as Kennesaw State with some minor changes. There's a shot that rang off the iron, and we've got some more coming here. Officials talking to Sousa, and he's telling him to get out of here. They finally put the player numbers on the board. Aiden Nolte was called for the coincidental with Iannicelli, but now there is something coming here for Kennesaw State. Being escorted by the linesman is their alternate captain. It's Sousa. So he is going to sit. And for now, we're seeing 4 FAU sweaters and 3 Kennesaw State, although they don't have their third forward out there yet. Only 2 players. Now they're going to send onto the ice Will Costin, number 96. So Sousa is going to sit for 2 minutes. I believe it's for roughing. That's just the second penalty of this period, as there's been a couple. And they will sit. There's a shot from the half board, sticked aside by Dunn. Collecting it is Carter Baker. He was the player of the game yesterday. Got around one defender. Skates wide, looked for the wraparound. Has help on the backside from his defense. Dunn got it with Reese Legault. They'll want to fish it out. Good job done made by Rothamich. Back to the point. Under the legs, Baker sets himself, collects it for Watson at the point. The captain gives it to Rothamich. Those two play tag with it. He'll look up, one-timer for Rothamich, and that was seen and stopped by Dunn with the right pad. Smushed Costin did on Baker, and that retreats the puck all the way out to the neutral zone. 33 seconds to go in the 4-on-3, and then we will have 5-on-4 for roughly 50 seconds. Sam Watson stays onside with Rothamich. Gave it to Baker, left wing. Kravis defending in the middle. Shot wouldn't get through the captain for Kennesaw State. Now gives it back to the middle. Swing it right side. Moriarty with a seeing eye shot that sailed high over the crossbar. Watson retreats back to the point, calling for it. Moriarty again. He wants a man in the middle. Cross ice. Baker just whiffed on the one-timer. Can Moriarty hold the line? He won't. They'll retreat back. Off to the bench quickly is Iannicelli. He's going to be replaced by Drew Renzi, and they score! Sam Watson! Second power play goal of this weekend for the captain, and they've answered. It's 3-1. A beautiful wrister from the left wing side, cleanly over the shoulders of Nikolai Dunn. And that's a captain's effort for a leader out of Delaware, Ohio. The junior answers in a big way. Boy, did FAU need that after it was all going Kennesaw State way early in this first period. And they are now 1 for 2 on their man advantages tonight. This puck trickles in all the way to McMillan's side off the face-off and then rushed by Kennesaw State. As those penalties are announced. And I wish I could give you some more statistics on what that goal means for Watson. Problem is, we have not had some official stats tracked on the ACHA website. Bit of a different setup, as fans know. This team went from AAU to ACHA this offseason, as that goes off the skate of a Kennesaw State forward and out of play. That was Nicholas Pecora. And because of that, you have to manually enter the stats into the ACHA website via a paper score sheet, although those have not been received by the league or uploaded vice versa. Whatever the call is, we don't actually have the official goal scorers, except what I have on my score sheet, which I know is the third of this weekend for Sam Watson, number 15. There's been 3 different goal scorers from Kennesaw State tonight, 2 on the power play. This is Drew Renzi. He sidesteps Porcello, Nolan Porcello, the sophomore, as a bouncing puck gets to the slot area. Delayed penalty coming up, and I think this is one's going to be called on Kennesaw State here. As John Bayona is chirping Porcello, the penalty is for high sticking, and they are sending Ty Johnston to the box, number 13 in yellow. Some might call it gold. If I'm saying that wrong, Kennesaw State fans, please don't come for my head. That might be too late. So high sticking. This has been a odd man up, man down period here. We've had now 8 total, not counting the 2 coincidentals on Chris Iannicelli and Aiden Nolte moments ago. So if you're doing the math at home, that's roughly 16 minutes collectively of power play time. As this one is iced all the way down the ice. And it's actually not a power play. I stand mistaken. Another one where it's called coincidental, but they don't announce an Owl player, FAU player. Boy, how many more times am I going to do that tonight, folks? So 4-on-4 for the second time. We know Ty Johnson in the box. They don't have a player for FAU, but this is 4-on-4. And it's now called on John Bayona. So they gave coincidentals to Ty Johnston for Kennesaw State, and then John Bayona. Here's a feed in front for Kravis, trying to get hard to that. Help! And that one rained the iron. Reese Legault looking for another one. He had the opener against FAU yesterday and caught a piece of the left post. Back over the line, Will Costin gets pressed by Lozeritis. He'll swing it the opposite wing where Christian Sousa gets deep with it to the trapezoid. Sousa, a defenseman, swapped places. There's a shot that is in front of the skates and put the weak side. Costin was looking for the backdoor tip in from Reese Legault's feet at the blue line. 1 minute left in the 4-on-4, and there's 1:37 to go in this first period. There's a long tie up. Somebody has their foot on the puck. Carter Baker's not able to free it up. Kravis gets it to the point. Back in front, Legault. Kravis pressing in behind the goal. Thought about wrapping it around the left side of the ice. Up for grabs in the slot, and FAU finally gets a body on it. They need fresh line changes, so that's a dump and change for Drew Renzi, number 11. Kennesaw State will reclaim their breakout. Foster enters the zone. Not before he's negated. Good job getting in the stick lane. Joe Caniero, who swaps places to the fourth line at center, usually a defenseman. 54 to go in the period, 13 left in the 4-on-4. Owls with Caniero in this fourth line get after it. Behind the goal. Put one in the slot, and that one was pad stopped by Nikolai Dunn. Really just trying to keep the feed from being clean. Now McMillan in and out of his pads. Nolte is down and squirted it into McMillan a second time as he fell to his knees with a collision from Moriarty. 31.4 on the clock. The most recent goal by Sam Watson with a bullet wrister for his third of the weekend. And the second power play opportunity. 3 of the 4 goals, by the way, in this first have been on the man advantage. Tells you a lot of the story, much like yesterday. FAU and Lozeritis find some room to work. Bucci Gross wanted to fling it out. Sealing the wall well there was Grogan. He'll flip sides. FAU again negated by Porcello, who holds it in at the near blue line. 10 to go in the period. A fight ensues on the far side. That's Lozeritis pinching Grogan. Flooded out to the slot, 3 seconds left, and that will end this first period as the Kennesaw State Owls. 2 power play goals scored by Ashton Nolte and Will Costin, along with the opener even strength by Pecora in his return to Boca Ice Center. Answered by Sam Watson on the power play late in this first. We will bring you that in 15 minutes time. You're watching M3 FAU in the finale against M3 Kennesaw State on Owl TV. Second period about to get underway between Kennesaw State, going from left to right on your television screen in those yellow and black uniforms. The FAU Owls go from right to left in those blue and red. Devin Serra with you for the resumption, where it was a man up, man down first period, to say the least. We had 8 penalties on both sides. FAU with the majority of those. They take 5 penalties in that first period, allow 2 power play goals, scored by Ashton Nolte and the second by Will Costin. The opener of this game was 30 seconds in from Nicholas Pecora, number 58 in yellow. FAU fans know him well, formerly with M3 FAU last year with 13 goals and 27 points. And so you look at the synopsis of it, it's another game where Andrew Yagoda's team, FAU, takes a lot of those infractions, and they're a mixed bunch. We'll have to see how they resume this one. And Sam Watson does have the most recent goal. It was also a power play, and FAU is 1 for 2 on the man advantage as we get back underway in this one. Connor Moriarty picks up a bouncing puck right at the Boca Ice logo. Nobody can pick it up except Ashton Nolte, who has a goal and assist on the night. He assisted on Costin's third goal of Kennesaw State's night, along with, well, I thought it was Nolte, but it's not. Never mind. Regardless, here we go on with play. And now Aiden Nolte, I should say. This one sticked out of the air. Costin lifted it for Moriarty. He'll throw it back to the neutral zone where it's collected and carried over the right wing. This one in the middle, one-timer. Costin had it negated from Bucci-Gross as smashing a man to the boards. Reese Legault gets it back into the paraphernalia of McMillan off of that shot from Will Costin. FAU was outshot 14-7 in that first period. Goes without saying, because of the power plays. That is the majority of the reason why. And I think that Kyle Stevenson's crew, I talked to assistant coach Jeff Sousa, preached on them having to be a more physical team. And you've seen a couple of times early in the going here that Kennesaw State has finished their checks well. They have gotten back into the plays, as this is offside on FAU. And that's allowed Kennesaw State to slow the game down, continue with sustained pressure, and force FAU into some tough situations, taking penalties, whether it's been a rough or a cross-check, a hold, a trip, you name it, they've done it. And that's something that they have to ride on now. They had this situation yesterday. They were up 3 goals early in the second. They come back into the attacking zone. A backhander off of the side of the goal. Everyone lost sight of it except the official down there in Max Minervini. And they will now all reset. The net came slightly off its moorings as well, so that will be fixed. And we'll get a draw in Florida Atlantic's zone. Coming up later tonight as well, the M2 FAU Owls take on Tampa. Tampa won 9-2 yesterday. It was the biggest loss for M2 FAU since 2021, where they had a 8-2 loss at Clearwater Ice Arena in Tampa. That was back when the league they played in was called the College Hockey Federation. Gives you a scope for just how rare of a defeat that was. We'll see if M2 can bounce back later up tonight. 9:45 p.m. Eastern is the scheduled puck drop. Here comes Kennesaw State with numbers back into the attacking zone. Drew Renzi couldn't fish it out. Foster has it in the middle. He paid the price, finishing the check on him. Getting into the play now is Michael Terry. And Scott Porcello wraps the point, dances left side, shot on McMillan into his glove, and he'll make a flashy stop. And early going of this, I'm Devin Serra flying solo for you. And if you're wondering, some preseason action in the NHL. Panthers, the Florida Panthers, up 3-0 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those two have gotten into some chippy ones as we get wrapped up with the preseason, a shortened National Hockey League preseason this year. Great job by the league to enact that, because it felt like the past couple of years the preseason just went on way too long. And as we check, Florida Panthers up 3-0 at the first intermission. against the Lightning. This is in the neutral zone for FAU. They leave the puck for Rothamich. Nobody wanted to touch that puck as they want to spread out with Lesko. They'll dump and chase it in. The man there is Carter Baker, number 21. He'll absorb a check. Aiden Nolte, Ashton's brother, who has a goal and an assist in this game, will try to scoop it out. FAU gets after it in the attack. Carter Baker got around one man, a nice toe drag. Goes hard to the net. First stop, second up in the glove, and then fished out with help from the defense of Nikolai Dunn, making his second consecutive start, and Kennesaw State is offside. That was carried by Chris Scott, but just too far over the line. They'll call it on Aiden Nolte. So for Andrew Yagoda's squad, their key has been to limit those penalties. Easier said than done. It's been their trend. And communication has been a difficult part for them as well. They really have not put together a full 60-minute game this year, considering that they lost or were down in their games against Miami when they won against AC/DC Hurricane and M3 Miami Hurricane teams, and then dropped a couple to Georgia Tech and then USF. Here's an opportunity. Sam Watson looking for his second, was sticked in front by the defenseman for Kennesaw State. That was Nolan Porcello getting in the lane. They flip ends of the ice onto the attack. Off the boards, this one's carried. Backhanded deeper by Grogan. Skittering puck comes free to Lozeritis, carried by Jake Buccigross. That's two alternate captains new this year. Connor Moriarty sees setting up over the line. Buccigross tries to flip around Kravis. He'll just scoop this and carry the rubber. Backhands it now, where pursuing Sam Watson wants Reese Legault. And Kennesaw State finds some open ice. Getting back defensively. Good job in positioning Malcolm. Drop pass, left side shot. In and out of the hands of McMillan. Ashton Nolte, number 19, a goal and an assist in this game. Pad stop from Nolte. The putback shot into the glove. And McMillan just got a second whack. And I think they're going to send a Kennesaw State player for a slash. James Kravis, the captain, will go back to the box for the second time in this game for slashing the goaltender McMillan. Inopportune time. Kravis had just one penalty yesterday at the end of the contest. That was in the second period, or rather third period, excuse me. And then tonight he's taken two. He had the first one early on. Owls didn't capitalize on that, but they go now to their third power play. Watson has the lone one midway through, or late in the second, or late in the first period. Here's Joe Lozeritis for Watson. Behind the goal, Renzi, the quarterback, tries an opportunity. That one is shouldered away by Dunn. Getting it was Ty Johnson, wraps the stanchion glass. Baker holds it in, wants it for Renzi one more time. Keeps the cycle high to low. Sam Watson lifts over Porcello's stick. This is now set up for Watson, who caught a piece of the side of the goal. Fed that from Renzi. Those two are the leaders on this power play. Renzi in front looking for the tip. It's in the side slot. Dunn made the first stop. FAU into the slot, and it's sent the length of the ice. A strong defensive stand by Kennesaw State. FAU doing a good job wanting to set up their captain. Now Renzi and Watson want to get quickly back entering the zone. They put it in front. Renzi can't find the puck, and Kennesaw State gets a fortunate bounce over the FAU opposing blue line. Carter Baker backs up. That will end the first minute of this. They leave the first unit out there. Shorthanded. This is Scott winding up with a bullet, and that went well over the left post. Foster just negating time on the Kravis slash on McMillan. Baker is there behind their own goal, and they'll let Renzi carry it up ice. Speeds around two defenders. Cuts wide. His power play unit's been out there for the last minute and 40 seconds. He'll leave it left side. Wants it on the wing there. Help coming from Watson. Now Baker back for Watson. Deeper for Renzi. Thinks about it. Trying to put one short side off the back of the goal. He'll get it open lane for Watson. One more time for Renzi with 9 seconds to go in the power play. And a slapper. I think that one got blocked by Johnston. And the Kennesaw State defense holds 1 for 3. Make that FAU's man advantages in this game. A much needed change. But Drew Renzi, number 11, stays out there for now. On comes Comtois Tuman, number 6. And Kennesaw State wants a breakout. They're going to enter the zone with the captain Kravis out of the box. Comtois Tuman up the stanchions, absorbed the hit that Kravis laid to him. Connected with A.J. Berry up left wing. And that was stolen for a moment. Linesman called them for offside. That allows Kennesaw State on a stretch pass and a big miscommunication. They had Chris Scott going to the bench, and their alternate captain, Sousa, flinged it the length of the ice. He had no clue he was trying to get him on a stretch pass. That would have been a lone break if Scott had any idea. And because of the icing, Scott has to come off the bench from that change and stay out there. So a golden opportunity for FAU, considering Kennesaw State's got some guys that have been out there for a little bit. Moriarty from the point will cut it deeper. This one's reversed by Bashkin, who took a bump after that. Sent back by Bucci-Gross. Sousa is there to slow the momentum. Puck bounced off the official skate. Allows a good break for FAU into the slot. Calmly taken away. And this is up for grabs in the neutral zone. FAU really had to be careful there. They had all of their forwards deep. Owen Foster was the one trying to get it out. Re-entry and a big collision. Getting knocked down, Michael Terry, as Kravis laid the lumber on him. And play is stopped. That one came into the paraphernalia of their goaltender, Nikolai Dunn, Kennesaw State's. Almost halfway gone in the second period, still no score. Devin Serra riding solo with you in this one. The lone penalty of this second on the slash from Kravis. Owls are 1 for 3 on their man advantage. Owls, FAU. Here's now Loston. He lost handle. Worked over by Bucci-Gross. Turnaround attempt well wide of goal. Off of Legault. They all flip ends of the ice. Some more hard hits. Moriarty upends Ashton Nolte, who's hurt on the play. He takes a skate to the back of the head. Good thing he's got a helmet there. And Nolte will cause the whistle as he was down for a while. Scary collision. Moriarty laid the lumber on him too. And for the junior out of Marietta, Georgia, he'll skate back to the bench. Mentioned earlier he had a goal and an assist in Kennesaw State's effort yesterday. He also has a goal and assist tonight. It's a guy this Kennesaw State fan base knows very well. And you think about the guys that Kennesaw State lost in the offseason, David Price, Sebastian Zamborski. They are expecting guys like Nolte, Kravis, Reese Legault, and Will Costin to replace a lot of that scoring. So we get a long stop into the conversation between his brother Aiden Nolte and Andrew Rothamich. Owls win the draw. Connor Moriarty flung it to the Boca Ice logo. A long dump in by, that looked like Legault. Banked off the high part of the glass. FAU has it stolen away by Scott. John Ronson in there to help, number 9 in yellow. Wanted to stuff it short side. McMillan holds the post, and they will give him the whistle for that. That's another quick opportunity. Ronson saw that everybody was thinking he was going to try and reverse that along the boards and go up to the point. So that's probably his thinking, trying to stuff that short side. It's a heads-up move. Carter Baker, number 21, back out there for FAU. As they drop the puck, Baker gets after it. Player of the game, named by FAU. He was very, very impressive. The defenseman out of Waterville, Ohio, for an amazing assist on Chris Iannicelli's game-tying goal in the dying seconds of the second. This is Joseph Lozeritis, left wing, chance towards Dunn, and he has that one. thing that Nikolai Dunn has going for him is he is a well-sized goaltender. He stands at 5'10", but he's 200 pounds, and he takes up a lot more space than his height is giving off. McMillan, of course, is his own right the same size, but he has a little bit of a smaller frame than Nikolai Dunn, so he doesn't cover as much ground. Means he has to be much more active in that net. And Dunn's not a guy that's very fast in the crease, but his assistant coach, Jeff Sousa, says he makes the stops that we need, and that's why we went back with him tonight. James Kravis, number 66, the captain, turnaround, well off the end board glass. Christian Sousa, or rather Nicholas Pecora, wanted to feed it for Kravis, who overskated the puck. Porcello at the blue line, holds it in, walks the line, left wing side, chance in front for a loose puck that McMillan doesn't allow. Some more shoving in front. This one has calmed down in a big way. It was most of this game power play time for Kennesaw State. After FAU took 5 penalties in the first, they suffered from that with 2 power play goals, but they answered on their own. And since then, we've only had 1 infraction on Kennesaw State's captain in Kravis. We are now halfway through this hockey game here on a late evening in South Florida. We appreciate you sticking with us, considering there's a big game going on in Tallahassee. Florida State taking on Miami. That's number 3 in the country against 18. And we've got a delayed penalty on FAU. It's a tripping call on Sam Watson. And he looks dejected. I don't blame him. He got caught up with a Kennesaw State player, so he will sit. At least I thought they were going to put him in the box. They don't. I called Watson. It's actually on Bryce Malcolm. Second infraction of this period. But it's now the 6th of this game for FAU. Kennesaw State 2 for 5 tonight. Their specialty has been motion. They have been moving some cross-ice feeds all game long, and 2 of their goals, the 3 they scored, were on one-timers. Over right wing. This guy can fly. Will Costin, the freshman, gets around 2 defenders, and Moriarty trying to seal him. Up to the point for the alternate Sousa. He'll cross the ice. Legault looking for the one-timer Costin. He fanned on it. He'll get it back. Number 13 to 88. Back for Costin. Number 96 into the netting. And a fan will grab that puck. Kravis is asking for it back. And he's got a little souvenir. We'll see if he returns that. Not sure if he's an FAU fan or what the deal is. About 5'11". Has glasses. Bald, but some good facial hair on him. He's wearing navy blue. I don't know if that means FAU, but we get a draw to the left of McMillan. 1:16 to go in the tripping call on Bryce Malcolm. Ronson won the draw. They get up to the point. Looking through some bodies, Ronson tipped that one, and McMillan caught a piece. Foster gets knocked to the ice. Gets it for Pecora, or rather Grogan, and Foster gets after it deeper with Ronson. Moriarty, good job defensively, but better by Scott at the far blue line, wanting a tip shot. That went well wide. They once again keep the play on the forecheck going with the sustained pressure, and a miscommunication between Grogan and Ty Johnston retreats them all the way to the trapezoid behind Nikolai Dunn. This stymie penalty kill for the Owls, FAU that is. If they have any silver lining to taking all of these infractions, it's that their penalty kill group has been efficient and forcing the outside to the outside most of the forechecks they faced. Scott on the outside from Lozeritis gave it back after Johnson blew a tire, and another mistake by the freshman defenseman out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. That allows the penalty kill group off. There's 7 seconds left, so that'll all but kill the rest of the time, barring they stretch this play out in a hurry. They won't, and make that 2 for 6. Kennesaw State on the man advantage so far. 7:45 to go in the second. They re-enter with Costin. Rothamich upends Kravis. They get it to Baker, who wants to free it up to the opposite wing. where Buccigross banks it off the board. Sam Watson has a rush and some open lane to shoot off the mask of Dunn, and it comes off, and that'll stop play immediately from a nice wrister by Buccigross, rather Watson trying to pick the shoulder of Dunn, and he will now have to restrap his helmet. That's an instant stoppage of play whenever you see the goaltender's mask come off like that. And sometimes you'll see where if one of the straps pops off like that Watson shot did, the goaltender will throw it off their helmet to indicate to the official, this thing's loose. You're taught to do that at a young age. It's all about safety and parameters. So with the second half of this second period beginning, you've got Watson trying to collect his fourth on the board. An important forecheck coming up, considering that they have now killed off that latest penalty, and Kennesaw State really has controlled the sustained forecheck time. It was around this time yesterday that FAU flipped this game on its head, and we had back and forth goals from both sides, but this is nearly a break. Costin gets outside, drops it off for Kravis, to the net, missed the goal wide, wrap around, and that's skidded under McMillan's pads. Costin had an open net to shoot at, and he put it right under the legs of the FAU netminder. That forces Watson in the tie-up with Kravis. Costin lost his stick, boxed out by Watson. Baker will flip sides of the ice as quickly back to the bench Costin goes. He left his stick out there. Baker with Kravis up to the point. Sousa holds it in. The alternate captain pressured by Renzi. Spinorama got it for Bashkin, although he was upended by Rothamich on a good defensive play. They cycle high to low, better play. Buccigross banks it to some open ice. Foster off the bench will get after the puck as it's in the scorer stand area. Two Kennesaw State players crash that board, and Bashkin dumps it in over the red line. That Lumber still laying out there, that CCM jet speed. It gets in the passing lane, but can't foil Watson, who gets it for Drew Renzi. Renzi inside enters, middling feed, losing an edge there was Michael Terry. To the bench goes McMillan, delayed penalty on Kennesaw State, and they'll touch it after Watson put it through the low slot, and this is a hooking call on the Kennesaw State forecheck. 5:52 to go in the second. And in a period that's been mostly clean, a reversal of the first, and really most of this series, FAU wants to leave out their top guys. Drew Renzi is the quarterback. He posts up behind the net. This hooking call is on Liam Grogan, number 59 in yellow. And you'd love to see FAU move the puck quickly and get that goaltender and Dunn moving. He is best when he's standing up. Nikolai Dunn is. At the point, they won the draw. Carter Baker swings it to the right wing. They want to get it for Renzi. It went over his stick. Watson collects, get it back for Renzi. One-timer, Lozoritis. Didn't get much smoke on it as it went off the upper chest of Reese Legault. All the way it reaches McMillan, who directs this from Baker. Put it off the back of the goal. That was rather dangerous. And Watson now, from his own trapezoid, surveys the breakout. Left wing feed at the red line. That's Buccigross. He's pursued by Chris Scott well. Sam Watson will now banana peel out with Drew Renzi on his wing. He gets it through the middle. Watson, Buccigross in after it. Centering feed, nobody home. Lozoritis keeps it alive deeper to the zone. Across ice intended for Buccigross. Wouldn't connect. Renzi from Watson. Now Renzi back for Watson. Put it off the side of the goal. Renzi looks for Lozoritis now. He was foiled on that play by a Kennesaw State defender. That's a great job by Legault once and twice to get it down the length of the ice. They will swap players. On comes Connor Moriarty for FAU, and out on the ice will Costin for Kennesaw State. Carter Baker's pass is foiled. The short man, Lozoritis, gets barreled into by Kravis. Watson get it deeper. Watson backhands it in front in the slot area. Kennesaw State players quickly move it to each other, and they could have had Drew Renzi parked on the back door, and that puck that flipped in the air is out to the neutral zone again. Rothamich loses an edge. Kravis sees that, and he'll skate with it to kill off the remaining time in this power play, and he wants a short side chance on the short-handed break, but with 10 seconds left, that'll force a face-off in FAU zone. So they will all but end that one. If nothing else, they can try to keep this face-off in their possession. Kennesaw State would have a man out of the box if they could win this and then set up a forecheck. And they don't. Costin got a handle of it. Rothamich upended. It's knifed further by Sousa as they don't get bodies there in time. Power play is over. 1 for 4 are FAU sweaters tonight on the man advantage. Rothamich, though, sets up a near 2-on-1 with Comtois Tuman in the middle. Set him up! And a great stop by Nikolai Dunn. Got across and robbed Tuman. The freshman can't finish, and it's back in McMillan. Skating with it, A.J. Berry. They get the second line out there. Re-enters the zone. Comtois Tuman, long shot, stopped by Dunn off the backside, and that scores! Are you kidding? What a play made by A.J. Berry from the end boards. Intentionally put it off the back of Dunn, who was out of position to the left of his post. And that puts FAU within 1 with 3:20 to go in the second. That is a marvelous play made by the sophomore winger out of Davie, Florida. His first points of this weekend. And FAU feels the spark. But Kennesaw State looks to answer. Shot towards McMillan. Tipped wide. Kept deeper at this near half board by Michael Terry. Fished through by Snyder. This is the fourth line out there for FAU. Entering the zone, Terry put one wide. Ty Johnson, he shoulders away to the stanchion glass in front of the Zamboni doors. Barry, number 13, still on the ice. I believe he's unassisted on that goal, and what a play it will be. I challenge College Hockey South fit people from the league to find that clip and, like you do on Twitch, clip that, because that is a hell of a play by the sophomore. This one trickles all the way on McMillan, and he's going to glove it down with 2 Kennesaw State players pursuing on him. So the goal scorers for FAU, Sam Watson, and the most recent, A.J. Berry. That was in the late first and now the late second. And just when you thought this one could get away from FAU, like we thought yesterday, they are right back in this game. Flush all those penalties. Buccigross off the mask of Dunn. Backdoor scores! Watson! The captain's 4th of this weekend on the rebound. Tie game. That initial shot from the right side put off the pads, I believe, with Dunn. And then how about this captain? Stepped up in a big way. Andrew Yagoda told us they're expecting this junior out of Delaware, Ohio to be their main contributor. And they are all fired up on that FAU bench. And the M2 Owls applaud at their own bench area, at their own locker room area. This one is a brand new game, folks. Thanks to the captain. And before that, A.J. Berry. Comtois Tuman. Kennesaw State has numbers the other way on the rush. Sailed a high shot over top from Kravis. Costin gets past some defenders. That's number 6 in Comtois Tuman. Turnaround attempt towards the net, well wide of the left post. They keep the forecheck on. Sousa tips it under the skate blade of Joe Cañero, playing 4th line center tonight. Andrew Rothamich stole one away. Rothamich to the net! Stopped by Dunn. The rebound up for grabs still, and they say it stayed out. Dunn from his leg somehow got his blocker in front of that puck. He lost his skate, or his stick rather. That one is behind the goal. And a chaotic sequence. They could not slam it home. Rothamich caught a break there. Almost a defensive breakdown from the Kennesaw State side. You can tell that crew is starting to feel some of the woes. They have conceded a 3-goal lead for the second straight game. The mental fortitude being tested for this Kennesaw State side that's off to a 1-5 start to their year. And they're already banged up with injuries as it is. There's a good hit on Watson, laid out by Reese Legault. This freshman will bank it off the boards. It's touched at the blue line. Will it reach? No. And Baker is there all the way retreating. He's got Foster pursuing him. Moriarty is there to help. Directs some defenders away. Gets around Porcello. Carter Baker with Renzi onside with Watson. Gives it up. Renzi and Watson couldn't get a shot through. 1 to go in the period. Watson has 2 goals in this game and 4 on the weekend. Number 15 back to the point for Moriarty. Sailing shot. That one is into the pads of Dunn, and he will calmly slow things down. When this FIU group gets going, they are good. It's a young group. They're showing a lot of toughness on a 3-3-0-1 start. It's tough to do that when you come off a weekend you were simply dominated, as they were against Georgia Tech and USF. They win this face-off draw, and that shot from A.J. Berry, who scored a beautiful chance from the end boards off the backside of the goaltender, Nikolai Dunn. Just a heads-up play. You will not see that very often. Sort of a mistake on Dunn, but that's just a heads-up move to Barry to see that and even think to do that. Barry off the face-off draw, pad stop by Dunn. Sprays to the left boards. Buccigross gets upended to the ice. Ty Johnson in there as it's backhanded deeper in front to the goal. Nobody there except a yellow sweater. Kravis calmly gets it out of harm's way. This is Buccigross retreating. Aiden Nolte all over him, and Chris Scott will hold. Then flip it out to the neutral zone where it's fed deeper by Barry, intended for Lozeritis. He falls to the ice with Johnson. A 7-6-5 second chance, and Watson got a piece undone. Almost had the hat trick right there as the clock expires. 3 unanswered goals by FAU. A.J. Berry and Sam Watson have tied this game, and for the second straight night, they have come all the way back. We'll head to the break, tied at 3 on Owl TV, and we may just have an interview for you in a few moments. So don't go anywhere. We're just getting started in the finale between M3 Kennesaw State and FAU on Owl TV. Devin Serra here with Captain Sam Watson. He's got 2 goals in this game and now 4 on the weekend, and you have the tying goal, sir. Tell us about that latest goal you scored.
So that latest goal we scored, actually, I didn't really do a lot. It was all our D, breaking it out, coming with a lot of speed, also staying composed with the puck when we entered the zone. So our D, if you notice, didn't throw the puck, nothing like that. Got a good low shot on net. I just happened to be there to bury it to tie the game. Huge goal for the boys.
Yeah, and you were all over the ice late in that second. What changed for you in this team that looked like you were deflated after allowing a couple of those power plays to Kennesaw State?
So what really got us going was just, just the brotherhood we have, and, always lean on your brother. It felt like first period we let each other down, so we made it our mission to bring each other up as one. And you see on the scoreboard, you see what happens. We're a force to be reckoned with when we play as a team.
Your coach has said you guys have the second half of games where you've bought in and you guys have really dug deep to come back in these games. How do you finish this off against a very physical Kennesaw State group?
So finishing this off, just stay smart. They're going to take a lot of penalties. They're going to reach, they're going to whack, they're going to try to get in our heads, but stay composed, always lean on your brother, and, nothing less that I expect than a win. So
thank you so much, Sam Watson. We'll head you guys to the break. We'll be back in 10 minutes' time for the start of the third period. Third period about to get underway in another slobber knocker. These two teams tied at 3 apiece. The two latest goals by the captain Sam Watson, and before that A.J. Berry on a nice trickery, putting it off the back end of Nikolai Dunn, the Kennesaw State netminder. Devin Serra with you. Shots are now 24-21. FAU, they outshot Kennesaw State 17-7 in that second period. A total reversal of a first where they took as many as 5 penalties again and allowed 2 power play goals to this Kennesaw State Owl group. And as this play resumes, they will flip sides of the ice. FAU goes left to right, Kennesaw State from right to left. You heard from Sam Watson at the break. He mentioned how Kennesaw State was tried their best to get under this FAU group's skin, but they have done a great job settling down in this game. They only allowed 1 more penalty in that second period. As a matter of fact, Kennesaw State took 2 minor penalties, while this FAU group took just 1. Jake Buccigross has it, number 2, with Kravis wrapping around his shoulder. Could have gotten away with a holding call right there as Buccigross gets it taken away. It wanted to be flinged back into the deeper part of the zone by Pecora. Returning as an M3 Owl, we said it a couple of times. He played for FAU's M3 team last year. He has it, number 58, winds up with a shot, looking for his second. It's sprayed off by Matt McMillan in goal. Turnaround try by number 96 in Costin, who has himself a weekend going. He's had 3 this weekend, second most behind Sam Watson, as that one long shotted in at the glove of Nikolai Dunn. For A.J. Berry, we talked about his highlight reel. This guy has really stepped up to the plate as a sophomore, replacing some of the scoring they lost with Aiden Georgiano going to Division II, along with Christian Cuccia, last year's M3 Player of the Year. And the big thing that I asked Andrew Yagoda about was, what do you expect out of this kid? To fly. He has the ability to score as well as anybody, and they get one there! Joe Cunero! FAU has the lead with a goal at the 104 mark. Andrew Yagoda put him on the 4th line at a traditional center position. He normally plays defense, and that time he gets it over the near post, the junior of Glen Cove, New York. Just 2 goals last year through 16 games, and he gives them the lead, and that is demoralizing for Kennesaw State, who has now for the 2nd straight night conceded a 3-goal lead. Can they answer? Foster and Bashkin take bumps at the far boards. Berry with a goal tonight. Number 13 kicks the puck. He's got it out of his own defensive zone. He wants to start a breakout. They get it for Lozeritis in the middle. Watson gives it far side. Renzi just too strong under his wickets. And that latest goal now forces Kennesaw State to move up the ice. FAU had more of the sustained pressure. We mentioned how they're out shooting Kennesaw State. This FAU group is 24-21. And Nikolai Dunn, that's now 2 goals he let just blow past him straight on. One from Watson, and now the latest, Cunero. Bronson takes a check. Opportunity, scores! They do answer from Chris Scott. What a pass that was from the left side. They re-entered the zone. I thought who got after this puck was Owen Foster, and that was a perfect pass and a perfect finish for the senior, 5th year out of Cummington, Georgia. It's fireworks to start this 3rd period. We're only 2 minutes into it. And now how does FAU respond? There's a rebound chance off of Dunn, who made the initial stop off his chest protector. Comtois Tuman, as the latest goal scorer, Scott, will free it out of harm's way. It's a race for the red line. Icing called off as they say he reached the red line. Buccigross in 2 gets it back out of the zone. I'll give you official confirmation in a second. That was just put on a platter. You can't ask for much more if you're Chris Scott right there, and not much McMillan can do. We're back to a tie score. FAU's only lead of this game, only a minute and a half long. Kennesaw State makes wholesale changes. The lone man, Kravis, as back on the ice comes number 96, Will Costin. FAU wanted to stretch the ice from left to right, and then they had it negated. Finishing check made by Christian Sousa. As racing it after, Costin gets flung into the FAU bench. This is Bartoshevich in his own defensive zone. Nearly had it stolen away by Nicholas Pecora. Kravis knocks a man to the ice, Bartoshevich, but not before they wrap it all the way around the end boards. This will reach the trapezoid, but icing is waved off. They stretch this, some quick passes for Costin onside. He was just holding that bucket at the blue line. What a shot! Kravis! Kennesaw State takes the lead back. That was simply nuts. That puck somehow stayed onside, and from the sharpest angle you will ever see, Kravis put this one in a gap that only he could see. It's 5-4 with 16:12 to go in the third. Wow. Some sensational hockey these first 4 minutes. Take a breath, because the resilience of both sides being tested. We're back and forth here. One team answers the other with a counterpunch. And FAU forced to defend out of their own zone. They are really feeling the pressure, centering feed. Nobody in there except for a yellow sweater. As Foster gets back into the play, it's underneath the wickets of the official, carried by Grogan. He'll flip sides of the ice, getting after that. That one is Hudson Bashkin. Moriarty from the end boards. As FAU was making changes, Watson comes back. Chris Scott, he has the goal before Kravis moments ago. Wanted to feed that out in front. There was nobody except 3 blue and red sweaters. Moriarty, Aiden Nolte sidesteps him as he flung it out to the neutral zone. Chris Scott, puck in the air, glove down and raced for Watson. John Ronson stole it. Scott on the right side took a shot off the skate of A.J. Berry. Comtois Tuman. This FAU group has not seen a game like this yet this year. They came all the way back against Miami, but they held that lead. Now Renzi for Comtois Tuman, and he was just too far away, the freshman was. You've got a one-on-one battle here for the puck. That's Hudson Bashkin in after Bryce Malcolm. We've got a whistle, and that's out of play. Kennesaw State will change their entire line, and I've said it a couple of times tonight, but I want to go back to that conversation with the alternate coach, assistant coach, Jeff Sousa, who's the father of Christian Sousa, number 88. He said, we got a lot smaller because of losing guys like Zamborski and Price a year ago, but I feel we need to be more physical if we want to have a chance in this game. They have been more than that. They have been finishing checks all over the ice. The only thing that suffocated them in this game is Sam Watson, who has 4 goals on this weekend, along with all of the penalties that the FAU Owls have taken. This is Will Costin in after it. Their talented freshman loses a edge. Gets knocked to the ice by Bucci-Gross. Frees up some space. They'll move from left to right. That return feed as Comtois Tuman goes off to the bench. Unsuccessful. Rothamich, though, will enter. FAU finishes up the changes. Rothamich alone off the side of the goal. Now the back. And Ty Johnston is carrying a part of the far back check. They want to flip it out. They can't do so. Underneath, Pecora has a man stretching with Grogan on speed. They'll go off for wholesale changes. Grogan is alone, and it floats all the way in on McMillan as he had a defender in his face. because of that size we talk about with Kennesaw State, it means FAU is the faster team. Their biggest thing, though, is that they have not always had the cleanest breakouts. And tonight, their biggest thing has just been staying with plays. Sam Watson talked about resilience with us at the intermission, and that's what they've shown in this game. Over the zone into Dunn's pads. A softie from Nicholas Schneider. Haven't said his name too much tonight. He took the opening penalty of this game for a trip. And that's a part of this FAU group's resilience in this game, is that they have calmed down. They have not taken a minor penalty, knock on wood, folks, since the middle part of the second. Kennesaw State is 2 for 6 on the man advantage tonight. Face off to the right of Dunn, won by the Owls, quickly stolen away, and off to the races goes Grogan with Jeffrey Thomas. They wanted to get it to the end boards. The official misses that puck. 4-man crew tonight. Joe Lozeritis will retreat. Flip sides of the ice. Breakout coming. Cleanly enters the zone. He's got Renzi in the middle. Fed it out for a second shot, and Dunn caught a piece of the pad and then was sticked away by his help from a defenseman. Jonathan Scott gets pressed to the boards. Renzi fishes it out. Quarterbacks it. Thinks about a wraparound. It's loose for a chance. Trying to get after a Baker. Off the side of the goal. Renzi put it. And a kerfuffle behind the net. Renzi's got a handful of a Kennesaw State sweater. That's Reese Legault, and they'll all be separated now. It doesn't get more opportune than that. Renzi pounding it home. Somehow, Drew Renzi does not have a, well, I guess before I was going to say that, he doesn't have a point in this game, surprisingly, but he does have a goal and an assist from yesterday's game. He had the opener for the Owls and then assisted on the game-winning goal on a beautiful feed to Watson between his legs. Watson parked out in his office, that is the left wing area. That puck way out of play, flipped by a Kennesaw State player. That leaves it in the offensive zone for FAU. And now this top line has done the bulk of the scoring for them. Sam Watson has 2 in this game. They're going to have Renzi dig in against Liam Grogan. Grogan's been really solid in the dots tonight, but he loses that one. Carter Baker wants to get through 2 defenders. He gets put down to the ice. Rebound up for grabs off of Dunn's pads. Lozeritis turns around. Renzi calling for it. A couple of bounces ricochet all the way to the end boards. Renzi slows it down. He'll get past Foster. Hooks around him. Leaves looking for the options. Watson was caught up with a man. Now they'll flip places, and Renzi put it wide of goal. Fed by Lozeritis, and Baker will retreat out to the neutral zone as Kennesaw State makes some soft changes. On comes Scott. Baker hard to the net. Sent it well wide through the low slot. And they have got to get back. Chris Scott has a heap of speed. He's got to go in this third. Backhands it from a wide angle past the left post. Baker in after it. Number 21, Renzi and the top line have been out there for a while. They have got to be tired somewhat by this point. Renzi will give it to an open man, Baker. Ahead, connects with Watson. Cross ice pass. Renzi gets around the defender. Bashkin. Comtois Tillman in the middle. And it goes off a yellow body sweater all the way towards Moriarty. Dump and change. Watson finally goes off with Renzi. They'll be replaced with the second unit. Joe Cunero, the latest goal scorer, in there. Rothamich to dump it in. Comtois Tillman is the lone FAU sweater after Bashkin. Sousa directs it all the way along, and this one was touched by A.J. Berry, so no icing. That allows line changes. The captain for Kennesaw State, James Kravis, back out there with Pecora. 5-4 game. Back and forth in the first 4 minutes. Owls take the lead from Cunero. Here's in the middle, Rothamich on a Dunn chance that really didn't get a shot as Dunn came out to challenge it. Kennesaw State has the 2 latest goals from Chris Scott and then their captain James Kravis on a rock star angle shot. Will Costin, number 96, has been great this series. He wears the yellow sweater and gets it stolen away. Halfway gone in the third period, and an action-packed game between two M3 foes. Iannicelli absorbs one. Bayona's in there behind the goal, pressed by Porcello. Help coming on the back end with Justin Lopes. Got a lane in front, wanted a center for Porcello. Some good defense by the Kennesaw State captain in Kravis. Porcello once, twice, pushes a man off the puck. This one's gloved down from the point. Good job by Iannicelli. No, they're going to say that's a hand pass. Bayona is going to argue his case with the official, saying he gloved it down, but you're not allowed to forward the motion of the puck with a glove. As Iannicelli frustratingly almost broke his stick, slamming it on the ice. So these officials are going to talk about it. They'll keep this faceoff in the zone for now. That's an opportune break. I thought they would have brought it out to the neutral zone. They're going to keep Iannicelli out there. Justin Lopes will take the faceoff, the third line for FAU. Linesman tells those two behind to separate. That's Iannicelli. He finds room. High shot off a Kennesaw State twig, out of play. We'll redo it. If you just joined us, it was Kennesaw State with a 3-0 lead at the early part of the first. Two of those on the power play. Sam Watson had the lone power play answer for FAU at the closing moments of the first. Then FAU came storming back. 2 lone goals in the third from second in AJ Berry and Sam Watson. And then as we started this third, it was back and forth. Cunero took the lead. A minute later, answered by Chris Scott. And then an insane shot by James Kravis gives Kennesaw State back this one. And what's been an action-packed weekend. Close games in both. This seeing eye shot all the way on McMillan for an easy glove stop from Will Costin. And coming up later, FAU fans, you'll be treated to the second of 3 this weekend between the M2 Owls and the Tampa Spartans. Tampa handing FAU their biggest loss in 4 years. 9-2 yesterday. And the only goal scorer for FAU in that one was Brady Bezier, opposed to 7 different for Tampa. Faceoff trickles in towards McMillan. Pad stop. Has help in the middle with his defense. It's sent the length of the ice, and this is an icing on FAU as Moriarty did what he could in the slot to help McMillan. And for that young goaltender, the biggest moments of the game coming up. The White House Station, New Jersey sophomore, last year was top 5 in save percentage among goaltenders with at least 6 starts. He came in relief for Seth Fischer halfway through the game yesterday after Fischer allowed 3 power play goals. No particular reason why he was pulled. It's just something Andrew Yagoda said the team thought they needed, and it sure paid off as McMillan only conceded 1 more goal the rest of the contest, en route to roughly 16 or 17 shots and a comeback victory for FAU. There's a shot blocked down by Bryce Malcolm in front of the shooting lane from Owen Foster. They get it. Oh, they almost got out of the zone. Renzi, high shot and into the glove of McMillan from Grogan. And Kennesaw State, they have done this really well all night. They have been able to hold the blue line so well at times when FAU has clung to the boards. They have desperately tried to clear pucks all night long. And Kennesaw State, this resilient group behind Kyle Stevenson, has really held the sustained pressure on well. It's been the biggest reason why they've had such success on their forechecks amidst all the penalties for FAU. 8:32 to go in this third period. Devin Serra riding solo with you here, and along with this great Owl TV production led by Mitch Liswith. Drew Renzi can't get it out of the zone again. That's Christian Sousa who forces a face-off. McMillan thought about releasing that puck, and the FAR official had a slightly longer delay than usual on that. FAU fans, doesn't get much easier from here. They'll take on Embry-Riddle a week from now in a home-and-home, and then get ready for the Battle at the Beach on the Panthers Ice Den in Coral Springs. They play in the Beach Division this year, expanded tournament format for College Hockey South. Stolen away, Kennesaw State backhand on McMillan, and he's got it with the low pad as Chris Scott was looking for his second. This Kennesaw State group will also have a difficult road ahead. They take on UCF in a weekend set a week from now. Georgia after that, and then Alabama, Middle Tennessee, and Tennessee. So the Volunteers, and before that the Blue Raiders. Face-off shot, another win for the team in yellow and black. But it comes all the way out to the neutral zone. This one's kept deeper by Comtois Tuman, the freshman, with Rothamich. Some quick feeds that allows Costin to break. Has one man to get around, now two. Shot on McMillan, gets after it once and twice. That kid can fly. He is a big contributor, replacing some of the talent Kennesaw State lost in the offseason. Not to mention, this Owl Kennesaw State team is dealing with a lot of injuries to start this year. Andrew Rothamich, Joe Canero, a big weekend for them, trying to avoid falling to 1-6 on their young season. James Kravis, their captain, the veteran, calmly gets it through traffic. Jake Butchigras tried to toe drag off of his own body. Nobody can touch it because it would have been offside. That allows a flick out by Costin as they need changes. Seeing shot, never got to McMillan from Pecora before it got deflected wide. Foster stole it away. An opportunity in front and sent wide of goal from Pecora. And his return, he has looked terrific in this game, and he's not done yet. Blew a tire next to Butchigras, and that allows FAU to, for now, get it out of the zone. It's flicked into the air. Brogan will send it back. Kennesaw State now showing some defensive formations. As they say, the best defense is sometimes offense, and they've had most of the sustained pressure. Here come the Owls with Bartoshevich. He's stolen away by Sousa. He laid the lumber with Michael Terry, paying the price. Carter Baker knocked off the puck. What a shift for the senior out of Noonan, Georgia. His coach is going to like that one, as also his dad, Jeff Sousa, as Kennesaw State once again the length of the ice. They make changes. Ronson, Scott come back on. Just cycling their top two lines is Kennesaw State. They're working with roughly 3.5 with all of the injuries they've been sustaining. The likes of Pindrick, Burton, Alvarez. They dearly miss Sebastian Zamborski right now. Carter Baker, as this one's flipped into the air, glove down by Iannicelli at the red line. And how does FAU get this one within? They're back tied up. They have been resilient this series. They've come back down by 3 goals twice this weekend and trying to keep their record at 500. Chris Scott over the head. No chance to glove it down for Lesko. It trickles all the way to McMillan, who saw Bayona at the neutral zone. He's all alone. Gets sandwiched between Scott and Ty Johnston. Ronson cleans up the loose change. Iannicelli is there, kept deeper by Lopes. Unable to hold the footing, trying to glove it down is Bayona. Good job to hold in the line. He's got to get after it, though. Bayona's stick is stolen by Porcello. Moriarty and Butchigras, they can't get it free. Now they do. Left wing, Kravis, the captain, comes back out. Butchigras, the alternate captain, sails a shot well high of the goal. Costin can't hold that from his possession. Moriarty and FAU resets. We'll let you know if McMillan is pulled anytime soon. But if you're Andrew Yagoda, you want to wait as long as possible until it's absolutely necessary. Bayona wanted to stretch it east to west for Moriarty. Lopes take a whack by the glove of Ty Johnston to the back of the head. They all fall over each other. Bayona freed it up to the end boards where Porcello connects with Costin. Banks it off the boards. They're going to say that's out, and Butchigras was trying to release at the blue line. FAU has got to get their top group back out there. This second and third linesman cycling. That's Drew Renzi, number 11. Top players going. Porcello can't get it out. A.J. Barry sent it deeper, intended for Renzi, and now skating along Porcello. Kennesaw State will go off for changes as time dwindles down. 5-4 Kennesaw State looking for the split. Watson, right wing for Renzi. Left side for Lozeritis. They have done the most of the scoring this weekend. This one's fished by Sousa all the way around. Linesman got in the way of Pecora, rather Grogan, and that allows Carter Baker to get inside position all the way to the puck. Watson banked it off a yellow sweater. They re-enter now. Baker, Renzi in the middle. Baker gets around a couple of defenders. Sousa poke checked him. Stick down. Watson unable to keep that in. Bouncing puck. Freed to the opposite end. And look at Kennesaw State. They're going to put 3 forwards back in the neutral zone. Rothamich for Baker. Cleanly onside. Renzi in the middle. Watson wants to get through 3 defenders. Can't do so. It's stolen by Sousa, and the alternate captain smartly gets it for Scott. He's on the break. Oh, low to the net. Stopped by McMillan. He saves this one for FAU. We stay at a 1-goal advantage for Kennesaw State. 2:30 to go. Floats back for Ty Johnson at the blue line. He'll stretch this out in and out of the glove. Rodson, shot, saved by McMillan. Some great defensive work by Kennesaw State. Nikolai Dunn hasn't been tested the final minutes of this third. And they now have an offensive zone draw with John Ronson, and FAU is going to take a timeout here, it looks like. 2:15 to go. Let's give you a brief game recap. Like yesterday, Kennesaw State came buzzing out of the first period with 3 goals, 2 on the power play. Started even strength by Nicholas Pecora, the Sewanee, Georgia junior, a goal in his return to Boca Ice Center, where he played for this FAU M3 program for a little while. Ashton Nolte followed up. He's had a couple of points this weekend. The Marietta, Georgia junior, followed up on the power play by Will Costin, who's been massive for this Kennesaw State group, and Kyle Stevenson. But Sam Watson, the leader and the captain, with 4 goals this weekend, answered on the power play at the end of the first. Followed up by A.J. Berry with a goal you may not see many like, after he shot it off the back of Nikolai Dunn, slightly out of the net to his left post, in. And that was followed up with the tying effort by Watson, assisted by Lozeritis and Bucci-Gras. FAU took the lead briefly from Joe Canero on a beautiful shot. But less than a minute later, Chris Scott answers. Great feed from the near corner in the attacking zone. And then another minute later, the captain, James Kravis, with an insane shot deep to the trapezoid in a pocket only he could see, gave Kennesaw State the lead. And now with 2:15 to go, they have held on the last 10 minutes and trying to do it again. Offensive zone draw. Ronson holding it as long as he can. Carter Baker pressed to the end boards. Hard hit laid out by Foster. Ronson is there defensively. Gets in the way of Watson, who can't clear the zone as McMillan had to come out to play that puck. Baker pressed to the boards. Sousa and Foster doing a great job defensively. Now the Owls in a FAU breakout. McMillan's looking towards the bench. They don't pull him yet. Renzi sends one on goal. That one is well wide. Bucci-Gras back to retrieve, rather Lozeritis. So they've got a mixed line. Rothamich, Bucci-Gras is here. He gets past the defense off the shoulder of Dunn. Costin couldn't clear it. Baker got it deeper. Rothamich to chase it, and it's wrapped the boards by their captain Kravis. They're going to get the first man in a yellow sweater to it, Pecora. Smartly will kill time. 1:15 to go in this hockey game. Kennesaw State trying to go to 2-6 and stop this losing streak. A fish ensues. Their only win this year was against South Carolina. That team won the conference last year, and they hadn't lost a game until this Kennesaw State team knocked them off. 52 to go. This is it for FAU. They'll try and spring it up right wing. McMillan to the bench, 6-on-5. Rothamich to chase in after it. Kravis is there. He smartly clears it to the neutral zone, where they'll get Baker, Moriarty on the ice. Joe Canero, the latest goal scorer. That went through the legs of Watson. Kravis has a lane for the empty net. Banked it off the end boards, and they call that one icing. Kravis can't believe it. It was very close. If he got that at the far part of the red line, and they're going to say it was iced. There's 31.1 seconds on the clock, and there will be an offensive zone draw for FAU. They'll have Renzi take it. They'll put a forward back. John Bayona's going off. They got too many guys out there. Now they have 6. They need it. Joe Cañero boxes out a man. Pressed to the boards by Ty Johnston. Renzi comes in to help. Watson frees it up. Drew Renzi has it, trying to stuff it short side. He's negated by Dunn. Around the boards, Moriarty doesn't hold the line for the empty net. Kennesaw State scores! Pecora, in his return to Boca Ice, has 2, and that will seal it. Jeff Sousa said they had to find a way to get these guys motivated mentally, and they did. They get through the comeback by FAU, and they will walk away with their 2nd win of the season. And they did it with 5 different goal scorers in this game. What a job by Kyle Stevenson, Jeff Sousa, and this Kennesaw State team. They fight off the comeback by FAU, and Nikolai Dunn is swarmed on the win. They get the split for their 2nd of the season. They move to 2-2 in conference play, 2-6 overall. And in a hard-fought, exciting series, a well-deserved effort for Nicholas Pecora and company. They'll gather for handshakes at center ice. What a job by Matt McMillan in net for FAU, coming off relief yesterday. Counted with the win. He will take the loss tonight. What a game this was. We had back and forth action. FAU led for a brief moment, only a minute exactly, before Chris Scott tied it up. In the first 4 minutes, we had 3 goals, 2 of them by Kennesaw State. And James Kravis will have a highlight reel goal for the ages, finished off by Nicholas Pecora. 2 goals in his return against his former team. As we sign off, we'd like to thank all of you for watching this presentation of M3 FAU Hockey. For our Owl TV production crew, Mitch Liswith, our producer, my name is Devin Serra, and we thank you for watching this game tonight, as final shots are Kennesaw State 32 and your FAU Owls 31. Coming up next, it is M2 Florida Atlantic taking on the Tampa Spartans in the 2nd of this 3-game weekend series. See you in a little bit. Have a great night, everyone.